How you doing, everybody? It is the wee morning hours of July 11th, 2018. And we kind of got some good news on the Donald Trump front. He has nominated for Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh, which seems to be a pretty solid pick. Now, I would have preferred Mike Lee or Amy Barrett. I don't remember what her middle name was there. I know it's Amy something Barrett. But anyway, I would have loved either one or two of those. And I'll tell you why. Because if you noticed, when he announced the confirmation, he announced his Supreme Court Justice nominee, that's more like it, hasn't been confirmed yet. You see, the Bushes were a little too happy. Now, these establishment scumbags wouldn't trust him as far as I can throw him. They were the high and mighty until Trump stomped them in the ass. Then they seem pretty damn happy that this Supreme Court Justice got nominated. Now, doesn't mean that it seems like over 30 years of his writings and rulings, he seems to be a pretty solid conservative. And it doesn't mean that the Bushes may be somewhat conservative at heart, even though they let their dirty dealings overrule what's best for the country, which I do believe that be the case. Well, anyway, what makes me laugh is these fucking retarded leftists. Now, I'll give you an example. I saw a thing with Bernie Sanders, and that dude looks as fucking insane as ever. There was somebody in their audience that had a sign that said something along the lines of, "I want my Constitution back." Now, what makes me laugh is these leftist pricks don't give a fuck about the Constitution. They give a shit. You can see how they behave. You can see how when things don't meet their needs or their wants or their desires at the time, how the Constitution be damned, how they go judge shopping when the people speak. They don't know the Constitution if it bit them in the fucking ass. They govern themselves by the 10 pillars of communism. That's how you get their fucking EPA ruling over the land, and the teachers union ruling over the students, education, land ownership, means of production, transportation. Everything that they espouse is a right for the people is from the 10 pillars of communism. The thing is, the rights that they espouse, somebody's got to control them and have a tight grip on them. And that's what the leftists want to do. They want to be the ones with the tight grip. Real liberty comes from people wanting to be left the fuck alone and do it on their own. And it's that friggin' simple. Or else you wouldn't hear, the separation of church and state doesn't exist. What's another thing the leftists say? Oh, the Constitution's a living, breathing document. Yeah, only through the amendment process. And if it's anything other than the amendment process, why have a Constitution if it doesn't mean what it says from one fucking day to the next? That's retarded. And only a retarded-minded person would think like that. Leftist. And anything that doesn't seem to fit anywhere in the Constitution, like Obamacare, they throw it under the Commerce Clause. No. Regulating commerce to make regular, to not have tariffs between the states, is not the same as compelling a person in order of their citizenship to buy a product from a private company or even a government entity. That's bullshit in itself right there. You got Social Security's unconstitutional, but they make things, even Roe v. Wade, the way it was set up, it was unconstitutional. It wasn't a court decision. The courts should have heard it and sent it back. There was no legislation made in Congress and debated in the Senate. Supreme Court made that law. They're not legislators. See, that's what the leftists want. They want to subvert the will of the people with the judges that they want, that'll think like they think, that'll do what they want regardless of what the Constitution says. That's the way they get their power and subvert the people. Even did it with Prop 187 in California. I believe it has something to do with illegal aliens and giving them benefits. I'm not sure. I should have looked it up, but I'm just thinking about it now. They voted. The prop was on for voting. They voted. It won, overwhelmingly won. The leftists took it to judges, shopped it out until they found a judge that threw it out, subverted the will of the people. That's what they want in the Supreme Court, where they come up with the laws, people say no. You can't ban something that's constitutional. Believe me, you don't think for 1 minute if Hillary was there and she put in her leftist judges, the Second Amendment would be under attack. All of a sudden, shall not be infringed would not mean shall not be infringed. They would find it means something else. They will make up some bullshit. Now, you know what makes me fun? It makes me laugh. I'll tell you what. I'll give you this example. Think about this. The leftists, their big thing is always, the Second Amendment's old and outdated. They never would have thought of the weapons they had today. And I said they kind of did. They kind of knew. They saw it go from a friggin' musket to a rifle. Now, that's an improvement. They seen single shot, and they seen some multi-shot weapons, repeating weapons, very basic stuff. They always say that, and you can always bang it back on them and say, well, they never could have thought of the internet, high-speed printing presses, radio, television. But that's not the same. But I'll tell you what the Founding Fathers never would have thought of. Never in a million years. That we would murder our own children by ripping them out of the fucking womb. That's one thing that didn't happen. Even if children were being born under the worst circumstances, it was inconceivable you would stick a device or a weapon or an implement of any type up a woman's vagina and rip the child out in chunks. They never would have thought of that. My God, that's something beyond hell to them. You talk about how terrible slavery was and they were slave owners. That's bad enough. But they never would have conceived of ripping children out of the womb. That was inconceivable to them. They never would have thought, how do we protect? And that's why it's always, they can say the Constitution where it said, anyone born here or born, it's always after birth. Because they never thought that birth would not happen. Whether than sickness or the mother dying. They never thought that there would be a time where we would voluntarily kill our children. So, don't tell me what the Founding Fathers would have thought of and not thought of. That's the one thing that I could say that they could not have conceived of. And it's disgusting. And it wouldn't eliminate it. It would say the more life value-minded people would probably want their states to be free from that murderous scourge. But the state I live in, New Jersey, New York, maybe Connecticut, Boston, there's a lot of states that would still do it. So if it gets kicked back to the states, so fucking what? There's nobody that poor, they can't make it from New York to New Jersey or one state to the next. Transportation's cheap enough these days. So, we're getting the conservative judges that we need to protect our liberties. I'm still on the fence about this guy, Kavanaugh, but it seems like he may be solid, and I still think that Amy Barrett will get on that bench before Trump leaves. We are in the process of rebuilding this republic, the constitutional republic that we're supposed to have. There's not a time to sit on our asses and become apathetic. I heard there was a low turnout at some pro Second Amendment march out on the West Coast somewhere up north, like Washington or something like that, or maybe Oregon. Yeah, that could be some newspaper propaganda too. But we must be extra vigilant. We will defeat these fucking leftists. Believe in your God and do for yourself. And that's how you're supposed to be rewarded. We do for ourselves. We are in the process. Don't get lazy. By the time Trump leaves office, hopefully after a second term, we will have this constitutional republic tied up for a couple more generations, and maybe we can reverse some of this leftist bullshit that's been happening for the past couple generations, like school indoctrination. That's why a lot of these young kids are running around like they are with their friggin' heads cut off. They weren't taught critical thinking, they weren't taught civics, they weren't taught about their constitution, and no country's perfect. Yeah, we had our problems in the past. We did some things they weren't proud of. Now, and they want to go back and forth, it's no big deal. I mean, Andrew Jackson, he was a Democrat. He said, fuck the Supreme Court. Let them enforce the ruling they made, and he marched those fucking Indians off to the west. The Trail of Tears. You know, all the presidents, Republican and Democrat, have done things they weren't proud of. But I would say the Democratic Party, which was also the KKK, an anti-abolitionist, they're the same people they always were. They found new ways to enslave other races. And how many black children they killing every year? So don't tell me they're for black people. They never were for black people. They were always talking about that they were weeds and they had to eradicate them. And believe me, they're doing it. You don't think this culture that they're living in is weaponized? So they kill each other? Not just abortions, gang shootings in the street. The blacks had better statistics of family than whites did in the early 20th century. People like LBJ and global elites, they made sure that didn't stay that way. Well, anyway, I'm going off about different things. Just remember, our constitutional republic is going in the correct direction. It's going to the right where it's supposed to be. Where liberty's supposed to be secure. Not these fake liberties or these fake rights like you have a right to health care. You have a right to housing, a right to this, a right to that. No, you have a right to acquire these things. You don't have a right to them. Because I'll tell you what, your right to them is my obligation to be enslaved to pay for it. And that's bullshit right there. I will not be enslaved to pay for somebody else's shit. And I don't think anybody else will either. That's the way you got to think of it mentally. Is I'm not being enslaved to pay for that lazy motherfucker's bullshit, that illegal motherfucker's bullshit that said, fuck you, I'm coming into your country anyway and taking what's yours and your people's. And they telling me that's why I tell you, I'm not racist. If you come in the correct way and you're here legally and you're getting your citizenship legally, you're my brother or sister in my eyes. But when you spit in my face, tell me to go fuck myself and come in here illegally and try to take things that are meant for my people and the fucking legal people that are here, I got a fucking problem with it. And anybody with half a fucking brain would too. Like these idiots in Europe. You know, you got these fucking migrants over from the Middle East raping them, and what do? Oh, we forgive you for raping us. Fuck you, I'll cut your cock off and jam it down your throat. Same with these fucking illegals. I'd send them packing with my foot deep in their ass. Alright, 2018 is an important election year. We gotta maintain our majorities in the House and the Senate. You know all hell's gonna break loose. These leftist motherfuckers get in there. All they're gonna do is hinder Trump's fucking agenda and try to impeach him, even though they got nothing to impeach him for. They don't even know what the impeachment process means. They don't know what it means to impeach somebody. All they think is, I don't like him, I can impeach him. No, he has to commit a high crime or misdemeanor. And it's like a bribery charge or something like that. Or treason. He's none of that. This Mueller prick, he can't find nothing on him. You know this Russia thing's bullshit. They ought to get rid of that motherfucker and start prosecuting the fucking leftists that did fuck this country over for the past 8-10 years. Anyway, the ship is hard to right. Because it took so long to get it off kilter, it's going to take a long time to get us in that right direction. The Titanic couldn't slow down quick enough for the iceberg. Hopefully, we won't slow down too slow for these fucking leftists to fucking put death nails into our liberty. Just remember, no apathy. I don't want to hear shit. Do what you gotta do. I don't want to hear about how the Second Amendment rallies up in Oregon or Seattle or wherever the fuck it was in Washington out on the West Coast there. They said they had low turnout. Now, that might be some newspaper fake news bullshit. I don't know. But we shouldn't hear that. We should be at full force whatever rally we're going to. That way we can outnumber the fucking Antifas and the other leftist pricks 2-1, 3-1, 5-1, 10-1. And when they start shit, stop a mud hole in their ass till they don't even exist. They'll just be fucking shit stains on the sidewalk when we're done with them. And then we go vote more conservatives, more libertarians, more liberty-minded people in office. And then we really amp up getting our liberties together and our Constitution straightened out. And then we're good for generations to come. We got to get the teachers union and the fucking leftists out of education. They don't even teach fucking history anymore. It's disgusting. No civics. No critical thinking. I don't know. That's why the kids are coming out retarded. Between the chemicals in the food and the chemicals in the water. Yes, I like clean air and clean water. The leftists don't. The elite don't. I'm not putting the fluoride in the water. They are. Other shit like that. I don't condone glyphosates. They do. So don't tell me shit. Alright guys, that's it for now. Chew on what I told you. And good luck. Remember, I can't stress it enough. This is an important election year, 2018. We gotta come up with the numbers in big numbers to keep our majorities so liberty can continue. We cannot let this republic fall. And yes, we're a republic, not a fucking democracy, retards. I hate that. It's damaging. He's killing our democracy. We're not a fucking democracy, asshole. You know, even like Bernie Sanders was talking about how the Supreme Court makes laws. They don't make laws. The legislator makes laws. All laws are made in the Congress. We got a lot of problems, but we got people in place to straighten them out. We just need to reinforce and support them. All right, everybody, you have a good night.